When my father died, I went into a bit of a spiral. My father had been a war photographer, and he'd covered the wars in Vietnam and Cambodia. He wasn't around much as a kid, but he was my dad and I loved him. When I got the news of his death, things got difficult for me. I got confused and my sleep patterns became irregular. It all started when I'd noticed 3 peaches that had been left sitting in the kitchen. Over the next few days I studied them, and I noticed that they were slowly changing. I started to ask myself, what precisely was I looking at? As they aged right in front of me, I realized that each moment they were different. What exactly was I calling a peach? How could I define or label something that was a different thing the very next moment? At this stage of my life, I really needed those peaches to stay the same. But they didn't play ball. It was as if they were laughing at me. It got worse. How could I label anything if it were not the same thing the next time I looked at it? All of the really important things in my life, all were actually decaying and changing right in front of me. All were impermanent. All would eventually disappear. Then I realized the real issue. I was constantly changing. My body and mind were changing. It took 12 months before all my body cells had been entirely replaced. What the hell was I? Who and what was Andrew Templeton? I had been this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and now I'm this. Soon I'd be this, and eventually this. I didn't even think the same as I used to. I used to be relaxed and happy, but now I was a mess. So what was I? Was there anything permanent about me I could call myself? Was there anything permanent anywhere that could save me from this spiral? I had to find out before my whole world collapsed. A short time after his death, I received a letter from my father's solicitors. Before he died, my father had written me a note. He wanted me to retrieve something that he'd left in Vietnam. There was a rough map, but all of the instructions on the letter and map were vague. But I knew, deep in my bones, my dad would come through for me. Whatever he'd left in Vietnam, it would hold the answer. From what I can tell from the map, it's South Vietnam.
Your father went to 3 countries, right? Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. I think we should go to 3 countries.
I don't really see the point going to Cambodia and Laos. All the indications are South Vietnam.
I think it'd be really helpful.
I don't know.
What do you think of this?
I was nervous. The deeper we got upriver, the more uneasy I felt. I kept reminding myself to stay focused on the mission. Recover your father's legacy. This does correspond with this map because you've got Tien Yen, Mong Chai and Kampar.
Started in Phnom Penh. We are now going to be 2 hours south of that on Phu Quoc Island. Ready?
But I had to keep sane. I needed things I could cling to stop myself spiraling. Things that were real and solid. Things that were not going to change or disappear. It was a nightmare. Everywhere we went seemed to be in transition. Everything was decaying. It was all changing and dying right in front of me. There was nothing I could hold on to. If I saw anything that showed signs of recent aging, I'd take it pretty badly. To cross into Laos, we had to go into the hills, and the villages seemed like a river of decay. A strong wind could rip right through these places and the whole lot would be gone by the morning. And everyone seemed oblivious to the suffering, to the change and the impermanence. These people were as doomed as the rest of us. A young boy could not stop the inevitable process of aging into an old man, or a young girl to an old woman. In the same way, a seed could not stop itself from sprouting into a monster of the jungle.
Look, what exactly are we doing? We've been to 3 countries and we've been to about 20 different places. I don't think any of this is helping. There's been no clues. We're still relying on the map. It's been a complete waste of time.
Just look where we are.
Some of the documents you sent me recently contain a map that my father had drawn, I think, some time ago. And the paper suggested that it was something I should follow. I have followed the instructions as best I can, but unfortunately I haven't been able to recover anything. And I just wondered if you had any more. Mr. Sodor?
I'm sorry, Angie, your father has a great sense of humour. There is actually one thing. Your father gave me a roll of film. I don't know what's on it. Get it developed. See what's on it. Good luck.
was one faded picture of my father on the roll. But as he stared back at me, I realized something. My father was gone, and he was always going to die at some point. There never was any fixed or permanent dad, or me, or anything else. The reality is that all things are constantly changing, and nothing is the same thing the next moment. It was just my desire for things to stay the same that caused me such pain and confusion. I remember my dad once said to me on a picnic, he said, "Son, enjoy getting wet, because you can't jump in the same river twice."